Hey everybody, it is John here from Mostly Reptiles, and today we're going to be talking about the top 5 projects that I have for 2026. So, welcome back to this video. Thank you all for staying up to date or kind of watching my videos. I know I haven't posted in about a month, my fault, but we're going to get into it talking about my top 5 projects that I have for this upcoming year. You know, as we are slowly kind of moving away from some of our current things that we're doing, such as like crested geckos, and then we were doing boas for a little bit, but I didn't really invest in it. Mainly it was the new cows that I was taking a big part into, but we're gonna kind of slow down a lot of the new cow projects. But we'll start off by telling you my top 5 project, or my number 5 spot, which is going to be anole species. So the anole gene in general. Mainly, I'm going to be doing the Blue Beauty anoles and the Fire Red anoles. These guys I've loved for years. I've always wanted Blue Beauty anoles, and I had them 2 years ago, and I just got another pair. And then the Fire Red anoles, thank you to Crown Giant. He gave me a pair of Fire Red anoles, and there's a species I've never owned I've taken care of them, but I've never owned them for my own collection. So this gives me the perfect opportunity to finally work with a dream species I've always wanted, even though they're just brown anoles that are red, but they are, I think anoles are growing in popularity, and they're going to be something that is going to probably skyrocket for more experienced keepers. I know a lot of the new keepers aren't going to really be looking for anoles, but experienced keepers, I think things like the Fire Red anole are a perfect beginner species for how prolific they are, and they're pretty easy, especially if you're trying to keep them outside. And then the Blue Beauty anoles, that's just like a big project for a big anole species that if you are looking for something a little more advanced and want something that's like awesome colors, they're definitely a dope species to have. Moving on to my number 4 spot, that's going to be day geckos. So this is going to kind of flow in with the number 3 spot as well, but day geckos, I'm mainly going to be doing, of course, the electric blues like I have been. And then now we also got a pair of neon day geckos, which I'm very excited for. And then we also have our standings day geckos, and we do have a pair of gold dust day geckos that we bought that are juveniles. But the day geckos, I think those add a lot of color to like any collection. They're probably one of the most colorful animals I've ever seen, and such a big variety of sizes and colors for the day geckos. I think when I have a day gecko for sale on my table, whatever species it is, it automatically attracts the attention of any customer, because they're looking, and I've seen this happen so many times where everybody's looking at like my crested geckos, and then they see like, okay, here's a gargoyle, and then in the corner they just see just bright blue little fast gecko moving around, and it automatically catches their attention. I've had people literally see it from across like the room and like approach my table at expos just because of how cool it looks. So I do think day geckos again are also something growing in popularity. I feel like the hobby is starting to kind of convert in its own way, while people are starting to now take a fondness to bioactive and beautiful looking enclosures. So they want an animal that really fits that aesthetic. I think day geckos, especially if you're someone who doesn't have a whole lot of space, a lot of day geckos stay small, so you can really find a nice little enclosure. They're like bromeliads or some nice cool looking plants, and then just throw the geckos in. And then if you want to breed them, they're pretty easy to breed. I've never had a real issue. Like the babies can be kind of tricky, but besides that, you're pretty much golden. Now, moving on to my number 3 spot, it's kind of going to flow into a little bit with the day geckos, but it's going to be micro geckos. So I've been doing micro geckos for a little bit now, mainly like the Stenodactylus species, and then, you know, I have like viper geckos and, you know, things, dune geckos. I've had the ashy geckos, but micro geckos kind of flow with the same way as the day geckos do. And, you know, they're small. You can get a lot of cool ones that are like different colors, different patterns. And there is quite a few micro species that can be communal, and that's like not rare in the hobby, but something that's less common. So things like viper geckos or dune geckos, they can be kept communally, and that's awesome. And a lot of people are looking for things that they can, you know, especially for like kids, you know, both your kids can have like a viper gecko and kind of live together. And for breeding projects, they're also really simple, and their size and their care requirements is not hard at all. Compared to things like a bearded dragon or a leopard gecko, I do think viper geckos are a lot easier than that. Still being an arid species, but with it being smaller, means smaller tank, and the smaller the food item, you know, just requirements all together are a lot slimmer. So I think it's going to be an amazing project to work with. I've been working with viper geckos, dune geckos, and ashy geckos for a little bit now, but I think 2026 is when I kind of have them pop off a little bit more, and same with the day geckos, and it's going to be a good year for smaller species to, you know, gain some more popularity. Now for my number 2 spot, and I'm kind of a hypocrite for like saying in this way, but it is going to be crested geckos, but a small batch of super dowels. That's all I'm really going to be going for, super dowels. Now for the super dowels, I think there's a huge market now, because people used to be, they only want pattern, and that was really it. But Dalmatians I'm seeing are growing in popularity, especially with like people buying them as juveniles and then seeing them grow up to be like a powerhouse of a, you know, spotted gecko. And I do think there's still a market for that, you know, for certain morphs. Super dowels, I'm going for like a certain type of like color and pattern. Really, it's just things like confetti Dalmatians or red-based dowels. It's my main goal, but really I'm going for, you know, ink blotch, but it's only going to be a small batch of them. So it's going to be probably maybe 2 groups going at a time, so maybe a total of like 4 or 5 geckos. I'm not really going to do more than that. Still trying to I want to stay out of like the big works of crested geckos, but I do think crested geckos are probably the #1 best pet reptile for a beginner. I think they're the easiest one, easiest requirements, and real simple to handle. And it's kind of like if you kill it, it's kind of your fault. But I want it to still be within the crested gecko hobby and have just a small little batch to be able to provide to customers, and also some high-end ones to provide to future breeders or anybody who just wants a higher-end gecko. Now for my #1 spot, and the one that I've been trying to do for the longest, and I think is going to be the best snake species for 2026, it's going to probably gain a lot of popularity, and that is going to be house snakes. I just bought a pair of Cape's house snakes, and these guys are phenomenal. I think they're probably one of my favorite colubrids. You know, I used to be real big into corn snakes and bull snakes, but these house snakes are something just out of this world. I think for them being the size they are, and their demeanor, and the care requirements is so simple, I believe that they're going to gain popularity throughout the year. And there's a few different locales between like the black house snakes, the Capes, the Casian, or I think it's Casian, something like that. And then the few other species I think they can gain a lot of popularity. I know things like Reach Out Reptiles is working with them. Wicked is working with them. And then you have the Bush, I think it's Bush Reptiles, Bush Free Reptiles, something like that. But yeah, these house snakes are, when I first held one, I was like, holy crap, I need this. It was something just totally different. And that's also the reason I got this this rack, because I don't use snake racks a lot, but for breeding purposes and growing out baby snakes, I got the racks. I have 2, one is on the bottom, that's an adult one, and I have one on top for babies. Currently I have a spotted python in there. That's also another project I'm working on, but it's not the top 5 projects. It's just something I really wanted to do for a while. But back here, house snakes 2026, I think are going to be top 3 best snakes that you can have as a beginner. I'll make a video about that as soon as I do more care with my snakes and see how they compare to my other top favorite snakes to have as a beginner. But that is it. My top 5 most looked for projects of 2026, I can say. Those are the ones I'm looking forward to the most. Now I do have a few other projects that I'm going to get into. Again, spotted pythons. I also have a pair of hognose snakes I'm going to try to be a small batch of. And then there's going to be a few ins and outs of some other, you know, snakes and reptiles I'm going to be trying to produce a little bit of. Isopods, y'all guys already know, I'm like real big into those, so isopods will always be there. But yeah, that's going to really be it. If you did enjoy this video, please like and subscribe. Help me grow this channel to whatever I can. You know, I still work a full-time job, so it's kind of hard for me to get videos out. But my goal for 2026 is at minimum 2 videos a week. That's my goal. I want to have a video out at least every 3 days. And I'm going to try my hardest, and I'm going to keep myself to that. So please show some support, you know, kind of fuel me to do this a little bit more. But again, thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you next time.